Today's episode is brought to you by the letter M.
I don't know if y'all can read that or not at that angle. It says gas only, of course. 10% ethanol blend okay. No E85. Do yourself a favor. If it's air-cooled, 4-cycle or 2-cycle, if it's air-cooled, do not put 10% ethanol. The only way you can do that is if you drain the tank if you don't use it for a couple of months. Because if you leave ethanol, any ethanol in the tank, the crystals will settle out. The ethanol will actually separate and crystallize and clog your carburetor. So I don't run, I either buy the premium that has no ethanol in it, or I find the special gas stations that sell just straight unleaded with no ethanol, because I do not run ethanol in anything with a simple carb. Ethanol based fuels, 10%, 15%, are perfect for fuel injected engines, because those have got computers on that are smart enough to run it for a while and take measurements, check the exhaust oxygen levels, and fine-tune the engine to run that specific blend of fuel. These machines are not smart enough to run that, and if you're not careful, it'll clog your jets and your carburetor, and you'll just end up throwing the carburetor away. Anyway, that's just my suggestion. Just run straight fuel. You get more power out of straight fuel anyway. Just don't do it. Anyway, I'm fixing to start this thing up. I'm gonna put the throttle assembly on it, and then any engine that I buy new, I'll fill it up, run it up to 10 hours, and then flush it, and then inspect the flush to make sure that I don't have any iron filings in it. Typically for manufacturer, they do that at the assembly plant. If it's a Briggs or a Kohler, I know they do. I don't know who makes Predator. I guess it's Predator themselves. I don't know what their running procedures are, their testing procedures. So when in doubt, do it yourself. So I'm gonna run. I don't have the right size. Of course not. Got 2 mil. I'm gonna basically break in the engine again, and then make sure, and then check to make sure there's no iron filings in the output. Which it's typical to have that, because it's a new engine. It's still running in. Well, it is typical to have iron filings and metal, shavings and stuff for a new engine. You want to run it just enough to get those loose and get them in the oil, and then drain the oil and get them out of the system. If you were to fill it up and just start running it, and don't change the oil for 6 months, then that's, if there are any filings or anything foreign matter in your oil, this thing does not have an oil filter, so that stuff's going to be circulating through all your vital components and potentially scoring them, so that it'll eventually start using oil. But let's see how this thing goes on. I believe this is behind the. What? Oh yeah, that's the crank. I have to take this back apart. I think this has to go up because this is showing the, even though it's numbered backwards, it's the height adjustment goes on top, so that's what it's actually measuring against, is the carriage that lifts it. So this thing is fixing to get really heavy. And I get all that stuff put on. I do not have a front end loader. I have my neighbor has a front end loader. I will use that. I'm gonna try to see if I can't rig up some way of storing this thing under cover. Like, I've got a barn behind the shop here. I might want to try to find a place inside the shop to store it over the winter to keep it from freezing temperatures if I can. But we'll be storing it under a cover. It'll have a little barn or a little shed that it sits under when I'm not using it. It just covers one end of the track. But Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, okay. There it goes. Doesn't look like it, but. Or a little close. That's okay. I'm fixing to do some engine work here anyway. This is kind of, can you even see that? No. Wow. This is as wide as I can get it. Okay. Peek over here. This is a pretty cool feature. It's a pretty cool feature. It's not great as far as the, it's not greatly protected, but it is back away from stuff, and it's a set and forget, or it's kind of like the shifter on a bicycle. It's actually detented, and it operates. Of course, you've got dual controls. You can do it at the well, no, you can't. Thought you can do it at the motor, but it's all up there. You can I guess you can do it a little bit at the motor if you're needing to warm it up, but so that's your main throttle. One thing I'm going to do with this one, I've seen a lot of videos online that they've done some really good reviews and some good work shots of these machines we're running. They're a lot better built than I expected, which I'm happy to say. I'm gonna set this up either with this or electrically, so that when it gets at the end of the cut, it'll automatically idle down, like it'll hit a stop point, and it'll probably be a stop point that just kicks the throttle down. I am going to put an automatic feed on this. I'm gonna do some when I get a little closer. I'm gonna do some adjustments here and on the wheels. I'm saying they're really easy to fill up with sawdust, so I'm going to put some little wipers, which I've seen on other more expensive models of this general concept. And then I'm going to put some. I'm actually going to use a little Badlands ATV winch, 12-volt winch, and set it on a real slow move. And so, like, I mainly cut pine, so I'll set it to calibrate it for pine, and then I'll do, if I'm doing manual, if I'm doing oak or hickory or something like that, then I'll manually push it. But that way I get a nice easy cut, and then I'll have a trip at the end that both throttles the machine down and then also turns the winch motor off so that it stops going forward. But that's all things to come. I'll explain this later too, but I'm gonna add another 4 feet to these rails. Or actually, it's got a cut length of 9 feet. I want to extend the rails. That's just 2x3 angle iron. I want to extend that out so that it'll cut 14. I'm going to extend that to 15 feet so I can cut a 14-foot board with it. So once I'm going to get this working, and then I'm going to measure and go get some more steel, and I'm going to weld these rails. I've got, if you saw that trailer out there, that's a 16-foot trailer. I want to eventually be able to winch this thing up and onto the trailer. And then I'll have to work with some hydraulics and stuff to get it where I can actually roll logs up onto the trailer, cut them, mill them, and then I can mill. If it's only 15 feet long, it can fully go on the trailer, and then I can mill stuff on someone's site without having to build her. And I may just go ahead and put an axle under this thing, but that trailer is solid as a rock. And so I set that up, and I could have put a couple of jacks in the back end so that I can, basically have three points of controllable height control, and then of course the wheels, it'll be solid. And it's heavy enough trailer. I think I can do some hydraulic lifts to lift the logs up onto it. So future things to come. Probably should stop talking and start filling this thing with oil. I will eventually run 30 weight in this. I'm going to run 10W30 for break-in, because that's what I have. That's what I run in my vehicles, but I'm going to check to make sure how much oil this thing takes. These size engines usually take around 3/4 of a quart, 20 to 24 ounces. I'll make sure I get that right. I'm going to level it so I can actually use the dipstick. Which these dipsticks, this got a dipstick on it? Yeah, it does. Those typically only work when the engine is level, so I'm going to have to raise that side to bring that into level. It says, add the appropriate type of oil until the oil level is at the full level. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, just add it. Don't bother counting because we're not going to tell you how much it takes. What? They have engine specs. What? Nope. Just add it until it. Well, you know. This is not. I run Lucas. This is not actually Lucas. This is what I had left over from my car oil change. Instead of keeping one of those large 5 quart jugs, I poured it off into one of these. And the little nozzle makes it easier for filling small engines. No idea what it's supposed to be. I've got to level it in. And I doubt I'm even touching the dipstick. No. It looks like it's getting there. Be careful of these little plastic fill caps and this metallic or it's aluminum case, because they're typically sharp and they'll easily cross thread. Okay, so that doesn't say full. It's definitely on the dipstick, so I'm going to run it till it's even with the mouth of the hole. That's what I typically do. Horizontal shaft engines, I don't know. Yep, there's the edge. Make sure that's at least half of the stick. This is a sling rod, so I'm sure it's going to sling oil everywhere inside, which is fine. Just don't want to get too much oil. Oh, it's good halfway up the stick. Too much oil won't be that bad, but it will. It can overpressure and not good for valve seals and stuff like that. Typically not an issue with engines. Small engines in general. Let's make sure there's nothing in the way. No packing material in here that's going to jam up and snap a blade. I really don't want to snap a blade. These do take a standard blade size, so you can't get them from Harbor Freight. You can buy them from Hudson or any of the similar size saws. Plastic? Actually looks like cast iron blade guides. There's some kind of exotic plastic on it. That looks good. Yeah, I looked into buying a Hudson and they're not much more expensive. And they've got them, and you know, I'm not saying anything bad about them. They've got them, they're all painted red, white, and blue. And I thought, yeah, it looks great. Is that made in America? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it's made in the same factory as this one, because they look exactly the same. And it could very well be that Hudson actually is made in America, and that the Harbor Freight model is just a Chinese clone. That's very possible. But I don't know much about Hudson, but I could get this delivered for $2,500. And Hudson was going to cost me more than $2,500 to begin with. Hey girls.
Hi.
Okay, let's get some gas in this thing.
Wait, don't stand on this. That's my horse. That's the horse. What is that?
This does have a sticker on it right here, that says run 15 to 20 minutes every 3 months and add fuel stabilizer or warranty void.